So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And we said we'd come to you and we'd talk to you about the news that's just really breaking now with regards to the Villa Park redevelopment has been paused in the main. Well, I suppose really the North Stand development has been paused, and news kind of came as a bombshell today. Chris Heck interview on avfc.com and broken as well by John Townley in the Birmingham Mail. And I suppose we just wanted to come and talk about it because first of all, I suppose when I first saw the news, I was kind of going, ooh, I wonder what this is about. And it's interesting. Chris Heck gave an interview, and I've spoken to 4 different people, and 4 different people had 4 different opinions on the interview as to, number one, why he gave it, how he came across, and so on and so forth. So I suppose it's interesting just to talk about it. At the moment, I don't see any reason for me to overreact anyway, but I'm willing to be convinced by people if there's something I am missing. But obviously myself and Paddy are going to talk through it now as well. And I don't think we agree on everything with regards to this, but that's okay too, because we'll still be friends, won't we, Paddy? We'll still be friends.
Well, we'll try anyway. No, I just found the timing of this landing and the way it was delivered just a little bit strange, I thought. Look, having had whatever amount of time I've been driving here, so I've had an hour or so to digest the information, and you know, there's a lot of things at play. I think it's obviously I totally get where he's coming from, that we're playing well. We could be playing Champions League football next year, and to do that with a reduced capacity is obviously bad for the club. They're putting the club first in that, but on the other flip side of it, they are gambling with something that might not happen, and that's what's got to me. If things were to go the other way over the next couple of years without this redevelopment, it might never happen. And I just think that the Euro 2028 bid is an opportunity for us to leverage the railway companies or whoever's involved in that to get the infrastructure in place for the club, and to put that on the back burner may put them back on the back burner. So it's, while he didn't say a whole pile, there's a whole pile to be read into what he said or what he didn't say. And I don't think the Euro 28 bid was even mentioned in the conversation, was it?
No, and that's exactly it. So my opinion, I agree with everything. We actually, that's, you know, I think he's putting the club first here. I can't say for sure, and I absolutely don't know, 2 things. And this is the 2 things that we speculated on from here until whenever we get confirmation of this. 2 things I don't know is, does this now make Marcus out of the Euro 2028 bid? I'm not quite sure it does. It's a nodal stadium. It's the only stadium within this part of the UK. It's obviously something that the FA have picked previously, you know, for hosting of FA Cup semi-finals. And yes, it does need lipstick on the pig in certain areas, but I'll get to that in a moment, because I think he spoke of some other pieces as well that I think are probably more with meeting the criteria of what Aston Villa can do. And I think he probably, from my reading between the lines, was that the leveraging of the train companies and so on, maybe the Birmingham Council, or is it West Midlands or the Birmingham City Council? I can't remember, whichever one went bust recently as well. Maybe the government, maybe the government are potentially not going to release the funds to do the stadium. All those things are unknown, 100% unknown. And he didn't mention them. I'm glad he didn't, because that's in flux. Who knows what politically is going to happen in the next 12 months in both our country here in Ireland and in the UK as well, because there will be elections coming up soon. So who knows what's going to happen there? And that's an ambiguous situation for sure. Now, getting back to, I suppose, with regards to the Euro 2028 bid, if the station gets built, And if Aston Villa can get the warehouse and get the fan facilities and the areas around the ground and the merchandising and that piece done, maybe they still meet the criteria for this. So there's a lot of jumping conclusions that this rules out Euro 2028,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure it does. And then
And look,
secondly, as I said,
there's
go
two
for
there's
it.
two
Go for
things
it.
there's two things in that, but I've lost my trail of thought now. But the big thing is, oh sorry, yeah, I do remember what I was going to say. The the games themselves are still 4 years away. So
Yeah.
even if in that fourth year, that's the year that we go without the North Stand, we'll still have it ready in time for Euro 2028. And also, with everything that's happening in the world, the cost of materials has gone through the roof. So putting this off for a couple of years might not necessarily be a bad thing. Because if you look at the cost of everything from steel to concrete to wood to metal, everything went through the roof after COVID, and with the war in Ukraine and the amount of stuff that comes from that part of the world. So a lot of these things are starting to come back in line. They're still a good bit inflated at the moment, but we can see that these things are coming down. So in over the next 2 years, we'll see it come back to parity to what it was pre-COVID. So that's a huge thing that you need to take into consideration, bearing in mind that the cost of the outlay of building this stand.
Absolutely. And also the second piece that you mentioned was he's putting Aston Villa first. And I think there's probably no debate in that. And I'm sure there will be debate about it and there will be counterpoints in it. But for me, I can't see how he isn't putting Aston Villa first with regards to this point of view. And you mentioned a good point, you're speculating and you're speculating on not doing this and the potential that we do get into the Champions League. But like it would be Aston Villa's luck to get into the Champions League and then have a 30k capacity for some of the biggest European nights that will have ever been held in Villa Park in recent memory, anyway, for sure. And with all the revenue that brings in and so on and so forth, I think that maybe there's a bit of hedging bets there. But the big thing for that, and people can say, listen, whatever about that, that's maybe short-termism and small-minded mentality. I don't particularly agree with that because you have to build your revenues before you build your costs. We've just got another partner on board, investment partner with regards to infrastructural things. And if we weren't and it is a gamble, I do agree with it because it's not guaranteed that we would get Champions League football. But if we were to get Champions League football and have already committed to ripping down that stand prior to it, the loss of revenue will probably be more than what we will get from the Euros. And we're still not ruling out getting the Euros as well. So I think what this is that's why it was very deliberate when they said that the development has been paused as opposed to being scrapped completely, because it hasn't been scrapped. It's just going to be done differently, and it's going to be done in a different time scale as well, because they're going to press ahead with the warehouse, they're going to press ahead with the expansion of the club shop as well, and a lot of those amenities in and around the ground as well that the club can put on. So they are gearing up for bigger days and big match day events at Villa Park. The big thing here is that they're trying to do it in such a way whereby they don't miss out on a potential pot of gold while placating the Euros, and I don't know how much Villa would get from hosting the Euros, but I would find it difficult to believe it would be as much as they would get from a full season being down the revenue when your team is bang on top and literally going to fill out the stadium as much as they possibly can over the next 6 months to 12 months, and then also potentially having Champions League football on top of it with the new Champions League structure next year of 5 home games, 5 away games as well, which is really interesting. It's an extra game, an extra game's revenue as well. So there's a lot to decompress with regards to this, and for me, I'm nowhere near a negative reaction to this at the moment. I've said before, I've been very, very loosely involved in infrastructural developments with regards to sports grounds before, and I can understand specifically what you said with regards to cost of materials, but also I can understand as well, the cost benefit of having this shiny new thing, and obviously the loss of revenue that might happen for a year when Villa are like literally a ticket to Villa Park with the fact that we've won 15 in a row is like gold dust at the moment, or it should be like gold dust, and it will continue to be more sought after the more and more that we win. So lessening that as a positive for the club as well, it could be something that's in the mindset as well, because they want to compete on the field as well as off the field. And if you're You know, if you're just doing up the stadium for Euro 28 in the hope that that we can continue to compete from a financial point of view off the field with regards to the loss of revenue, there's a balancing act there. There's a balancing act there, and we'll have to see whether it's right or whether it's the wrong, whether it's the right or whether it's the wrong approach to take, I think.
Yeah, and look, you're correct in what you're saying. We get 4 games at Euro 2028. Financially, yes, there are benefits, not hugely, but what it does for you is it puts you on the global stage. It puts you in televisions all around the world, where
It's true.
hopefully we get to Euro 2028 having won some trophies and just cementing us into the sitting rooms and pubs all around the world where people are watching the games. But my overriding emotion and worry is that the infrastructure around the stadium and Witten Station and Aston Station have to be the priority. And what words do we come up with when they say, well, if we're not going to be ready for Euro 2028, the 2 stations stay the way they are, or else Aston Villa have to invest in the infrastructure to get them up to speed. So look, there's loads of ways of looking at it. I think it'll be fine. It's just that's my main worry today, because we all know how hard it is to get in and out of Villa Park. Anyone that's ever done a day trip from Ireland and has to get back on the last flight will tell you it's not a pleasant journey trying to squeeze into the train station at Witten or Aston, or waiting on the crowd to go in the hope that you can get an Uber in time to get you to the airport. So and people have to get back and go to work the next day and stuff like that from all parts of the UK. So it's difficult to get in and out of, and that's ultimately what I need to see improved around the stadium. But there's 4 years. There's plenty of time. If that's the 2027, 2028 written off down to 36, I still don't believe it'll go down to 36,000. There's surely a way that they could have the bottom tier finish by the time the season rolls around. And maybe that's something they need to investigate a bit further before they go ahead with it.
And here's one for you, Paddy. And once again, here goes my thinking hat or my conspiratorial hat or whatever you want to call it. Here goes it on. But maybe the introduction of this new investment partner is because the club decided, look, we don't want to be waiting around now for this train station to be built. We don't know whether the funds are going to come, where they're going to come potentially, whether it's going to be from the government, whether it's going to come from, with that uncertainty. And they said, we're going to get these guys on board, but we won't be able to upgrade that station until 2026. Because for the release of the funds from these new guys. And in the interim, what we're not going to do is we're not going to rip down the stand at the end of this season, because it's very pointed as well. I think the statement is very pointed. He said, I don't think we need to replace all those seats or grow all those seats all in one go or all in such a fast space of time. That was what he said, and that struck a chord with me. And then also, they're just talking about it not going ahead this summer. They haven't said when it will go ahead. Yeah. So potentially it's kicking it down for 2 years. Maybe it could be a thing of nothing whereby we're saying, yeah, we're just not going to do it this summer, but we're going to go ahead with all the external stuff, and we're going to go ahead with stuff at Bodymore Heath, but we're going to do it in 2026. But they're just waiting for confirmation of the funds, maybe from the new partners, maybe from the government. Yeah. Who knows? Because it's very pointed as well that the new partners were brought on in an infrastructural partnership, from an infrastructural point of view. And that's why I'm just that's what gave me pause for thought there, to think maybe it could be just wait. Maybe we're not going to go with the government side of things. We're going to say, screw you guys, because we can't guarantee that the funds are going to come from there, or that you're going to give us enough, or you're not, or you're going to want a half-assed effort around the ground because there isn't enough money to go around for all the grounds, and we're just going to do it our own way. Maybe there's something there as well. So look, it's very pie in the sky stuff. But I'm saying it's possible until we're told it's not.
Yeah, and look, it could be a case of literally judging our performance on how they decide to proceed with this. Because if we're looking at this time next year, and look, we haven't got there yet, but if we've played 5 home Champions League games and brought in the revenue that has, and we find that this a week before Christmas that we're out of Europe, maybe that's the time to go and knock the stand and start rebuilding it from February, March onwards, and be ready potentially to house people back in there for the start of the following season. But that's it all seems like a bit of a gamble and stuff. And look, we only got a certain amount of information off them, so we're just trying to piece it all together. And I suppose two gobshites sitting in Ireland putting their trupping forth together and seeing
Yeah.
what we can come up with. And look, I think we've covered all angles with the potential possibilities with this. But I know I can understand that people are disappointed. I was disappointed when I saw a journalist releasing this before the video came out, which annoyed me, because I think the fans should know first and not the journalists. And just little things like that annoy me more than the actual event itself. So look, it's nothing against the journalist, by the way. It's just one of those things that annoys me when it comes out. And look, there was a number of other things in it. I don't know whether it's worth talking about the badge or anything like that. It's I
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The genie's out of
Yeah.
the bottle with regards to the badge now. Anyway, I think regardless, they could have all the surveys they want for fans, and it'll still get sub 50% approval rate.
Yeah,
That's just the way it is.
and yeah, it was just like we voted already, and then we're voting again. So anyway, that's neither here
that
nor
with the
there.
badge for the 150 though is just going to be a logo just to mark any merchandise that's sold for the 150
Yeah.
event and stuff like that. And he made a good point. He made a good point as well. We're the first, and he said the first big club. I'm sure other clubs would, but we're the first. We're the biggest club to turn 150 years of age.
Yeah.
And we should be proud of that as well. And we should mark it. And there should be a specific logo. And if it is, like as I said to you in the like, I'm not gone on the logo that he shared on Instagram, but if that is the logo, look, all it is it's going to be on merchandise for 1 year. And to me, if it sells more merchandise, if people decide not to buy it and boycott it, that's everybody's point, but that's everybody's opinion. But for me, it's just going to be a logo that's going to be on something for 1 year to mark our 150th anniversary. I design it differently, but it makes it's not going to make us win less or win any more on the field. Yeah, I'm over it. To be honest with you, I'm over it. I've got other things to worry about with regards to Aston Villa than a logo just on the 150 merchandise. But I can understand why people would be annoyed with it. And as I say, I could design a better one myself, 100%. I could. Like it should be, for me, it should be a lamp with an A in one pane and a V in the other pane and 150 underneath it, or something along those lines. If you want to go back to the lamp design that they canvassed people on before, but the one that was shared on Instagram for me was. I couldn't even read it. I didn't even know what it said for the first 30 seconds of looking at it. And I went, "Oh yeah, that's an AV and a 150." Yeah, and it's not great. It's not great. But
you're only going to be looking at that. You're going to be looking at that for less than a year, because on the 21st of November next year we'll be 150 and it'll all be done and dusted. But for now, it's testament to how well we're doing on the pitch that we haven't spoken about any of these issues in months, because nobody cares. And nobody's probably caring what's happening today because we're doing so well on the pitch. Yes, there will be disappointment for some. Yes, some will be pissed off. Some on the season ticket waiting list are going to be pissed off. And look, we can't please everybody, but I'll tell you one thing for sure. The club is going in the right direction on the pitch, and all we can do is hope that the right appointment has been made off the pitch to mirror what we're doing on the pitch. And it shows ambition to do what he did today. Some people from other clubs will say it was madness, but for me, it shows ambition, and I think that's the right way to think about it.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, like either the club will go ahead with it at some stage. It's been paused. If they come out and they say it's scrapped, we'll come on and we'll have a completely different set of opinions on it. And they won't do that because the North Stand. And I think you can't put lipstick on the pig that is the North Stand. I genuinely do. Like they've done it in many's another stadium. You put some different cladding on the outside of it that looks less scruffy. You paint it up inside and you make the hospitality better in the North Stand. Meets certain criteria. That's fine. It's a band-aid over the crack that's there. And there will. I would imagine, like they've already announced that the hospitality around the ground is going to get better. And I think that's probably more in line with meeting criteria for Euro 2028 than building a brand new shiny stand is, because there's been stadia that have hosted European finals. The one in Athens that we're going to, I don't know, and I'm open to correction on this, Paddy, but apparently it's not anything really to write home about, you know. So it doesn't always have to be this brand new, nice, shiny stadium. That it's if the infrastructure around it is okay, and if the the concourses and the hospitality and if stuff is there for people to enjoy the amenities are there, then it can still survive alongside maybe a stand that isn't as modern as the rest of the ground. But look, that'll all be answered. That's all. It's pure and utter speculation here at the minute, specifically from me. Positive speculation, mind, but still speculation nonetheless, and all will be revealed, I suppose, in due course.
Yeah. And as Emmy Martinez says, I'm a believer, mate. So they're all buying into it. That there's a good possibility we get Champions League. Just pray to God that doesn't come back and bite us at a later stage. But I do believe that no matter what happens, we'll be playing European football in one way or form next season, and hopefully it is in the big one.
Brilliant. Excellent. We're going to leave it at that, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.